All right, so you're gonna need a couple of things for today. All right, number one is right here on 2.2 practicing the genetic code. You're gonna have a Google Doc that's gonna have this little table up here. So we're gonna use that to decode the code today. So you want to do that, and then also I want you guys to go ahead and log in to your Gizmo. So go ahead and log in. Make sure that you don't have a timer up here because the timer means that you haven't been logged in. All right, so make sure you log in. So we are good to go. So let's talk about what we know so far about DNA. All right, so let's recap a little bit. All right, here we go. All right, so let's recap a little bit. All right, so no, no, no. All right, so all right. So Elizabeth, tell me what the cell's made out of again?
Cells are made out of lipids,
Good.
glucose, proteins, and nucleic acids.
Very good. Very good. So remember, I'm writing a bunch of L's to show you that the cell is basically made up of, okay, lipids. All right. So if you think of a cell like a tennis ball, okay, so like the outside that makes up the ball part, okay, it's made out of lipids, right? And so our cells actually have things inside of them called organelles, and those things are made out of lipids too. So like if you think of like a room, okay, like a lot of people like hear of a nucleus, right, inside a cell. The nucleus is made out of lipids too, right? And so the so think of like if you can imagine a house being built out of wood, right? And you need the wood to build the rooms and all that stuff. Okay, it's the same thing. Lipids are the building material of the cell. And then inside, right, you're going to have these things that she said. You're going to have glucose in there coming in because that's what you need to make energy. You're going to have proteins all over the place because proteins, remember, those are the apps that the cell needs to do different types of jobs, right? And then last but not least, okay, it's going to need the nucleic acid, just like she said, right? So there's going to be nucleic acid in the nucleus of the cell. All right, and this nucleic acid, what's the name of this nucleic acid right here? The
DNA.
DNA, that's right. See that? Okay, and so that's basically the cell in itself, right? It's like it's built out of big molecules called lipids, proteins, nucleic acids, and the glucose is not really big, but our cells do like store glucose in really huge molecules called like glycogen and different things like that. But anyways, okay, so yeah, so that's what we're gonna. So today we're gonna talk about how this DNA stores genetic codes. All right. And so we're actually going to help you. You guys are actually going to build DNA and you're going to see and you're going to learn how to read these genetic codes. Right. And ultimately, Ethan, do you remember why the genetic codes are important?
The genetic codes.
Yeah. Why are they important? Does anybody remember why the genetic codes are important?
because they store data.
Yeah, exactly. So these codes, very good. Those, it's data, very good, right? And this data is used to for what though? Right? So data is used for what? This data, these codes, what are they used for?
To make us.
Yeah, to make, well, more specifically, to make these things called proteins. Because remember, I keep saying that, imagine a cell like a cell phone, and these proteins are like these apps, right? So just like your phone, right? You can't do, like, I can't do on Snapchat what I can do with my bank app, right? Like, it's two different apps, right? So if I wanted to transfer money to my wife, right, I'm probably using Venmo, right? Right? I'm probably Venmoing my wife some money, but I can't do that with Snapchat, right? I can't do that with Snapchat. Snapchat doesn't let me transfer money. It lets me send her pictures, but not money, right? And what's the difference between Snapchat and Venmo? It's the codes. the codes that are used to build those two applications. So that's what I need you guys to understand about a cell. A cell works the same way. It has these apps, right, that it builds called proteins, and the codes to build those apps are in the DNA. Okay, so that's super important that you guys understand that concept. And if you understand that concept, then you're on your way to understanding a lot of cool things. Now, in order to build DNA, in order to build these codes, we're going to have to use these things called nucleotides. Okay, who can tell me what a nucleotide looks like? What does a nucleotide look like? What does a nucleotide look like? Don't be shy. We're only on YouTube. That's all right. Okay. We're only live on YouTube right now. It's only got a million people watching right now all over the world. Okay. Like literally people from like right now Brazil watching this stream right now are thinking, man, these kids, I don't know about these kids in the US. Okay, what is a nucleotide?
A
A
nucleotide
molecule.
is a
Very
phosphate
good. It's a
carbon.
molecule, and what does it look like?
It has 3 parts.
Very good, very good. It has 3 parts, and the 3 parts look like this. Very good. All right. Now, okay, so here are the 3 parts. All right. What's this first part?
The phosphate group.
Good. What's this middle part?
The 5 carbon sugar.
Right. Good, good. And then this part right here, what's this part?
The nitrogenous base.
Very good. There it is. Good. See that? So what we're gonna do is today I'm gonna teach you how to put these guys together, right? So write this down. Today you're going to learn how to connect nucleotides to build the code. So basically how to program a cell, basically, right? Today I'm going to teach you guys how to do this, all right? And then hopefully you'll start looking at DNA as a instrument for storing information, okay? As a molecule that stores information, all right? All right, so let's get into it. All right. So in your virtual lab, you guys have basically this little gizmo. Okay. Now on the side, you have these things called that the nucleotides kind of broken up into 2 pieces. And so the way this works is here's what you do. So basically DNA, basically all it is just nucleotides that have been strung together like this, okay? Almost like a necklace, right? And so if you, as you can see here, right now I have 3 nucleotides that I've connected together, right? And the way the nucleotides connect together, right? Well, let's talk about the pieces first. So let me go ahead and blow this up so you can see it. All right. So the way this molecule works, right? The way this diagram is, remember, this right here, what do you guys think this ball represents?
The phosphate group.
Good. So this is the phosphate group. All right. Okay. What does this ball represent?
The 5 carbon sugar.
Good. Now, which sugar, though? Very specific. Because remember, we're building DNA. So what 5-carbon sugar is this?
Deoxyribose.
Very good. Good. It's the deoxyribose. Good. Okay. And then what is this thing here? Each one of these is a what?
Nitrogenous base.
Very good. Nitrogenous base. Very good. So all of these are nitrogenous bases, right? Okay. This one's adenine, cytosine, and guan, and well, 2 cytosines here. Now, does anybody remember? So like what we're gonna do today, what you guys are gonna do today is you guys are gonna string nucleotides together just like I'm doing, right? And I only want you to string 6 nucleotides today. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then remember, every time, notice how they connect here. Okay, notice how these nucleotides connect. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you did it right, you should have a phosphate group on top and then nothing on the bottom over here, okay? That's how this works, okay? I want you to make sure you guys kind of take a picture of that. Now, if once you're done, you're going to have something that looks like this. Okay? Now, DNA has 2 strands. Right now, this is only 1 strand. So we're really not finished. Okay, we're really not finished, but today for our purposes only, I only want you to build 1 strand. Okay? So today, step number 1 is to build 1 strand. Okay? Got it? Now, then step number 2 is, remember, this right here is a genetic code. So once you build your genetic code, step number 2 is going to be to translate your code. All right? And we'll talk about what that means in a little bit, okay? But before we continue, I want to go over a couple things here, okay? Now, for the test, you need to know what this is called right here. This part of the strand. What is that part of the strand called? Who remembers it from the other videos? What's that called, that right there? Man, making me look bad again in front of the whole world. Jesus. What's it called? Well, think about it. What do we say these pentagons represent?
5 carbon sugar.
Yes, very good. Sugar. They're the sugars, right? And then what are these guys again?
The phosphate group.
Good. So that part is called the sugar phosphate backbone. Write it down in your notes. Okay? That part is the strongest part of the molecule. Okay, that part right there is the strongest part of the molecule. Okay, so sometimes, okay, you'll hear in the videos like the sugar phosphate backbone. That's what that means. That part, notice, does anything change in the sugar phosphate backbone? Does anything change? No, the pieces remain the same. The only thing that you're seeing that's changing are these nitrogenous bases, because these nitrogenous bases, okay, are what is building the code. Okay, so now here's what you're going to do. You're going to translate the code. So in your worksheet that I've given you guys, all right, you have something that looks like this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of it. So you have something that I gave you here. And so you're going to use this decoder here to figure out what code I made. Okay? And here's what you got to remember. The code, the genetic code, right? Whoops. The genetic code, right? You always read it 3 nitrogenous bases at a time. Okay? So the first code is ACC. So in order to know what this code means, you're going to go and you're going to find the first letter. Here's the A. The second letter is the C. Here's the C. And then the third letter is C. So then you got to go, so AC, so that the answer is somewhere in this box right here. Right? So ACC means, in my code, I made this up, right? Okay, it means students. So the first word in my message is student. The next message, GGC, the next code, GGC. G, G, right? So then that means that the answer has to be in this box here. GGC, right? Means I put never. So my message that I wrote right now says student never, right? So that's what I did. Now, obviously I can add more nucleotides and make my message longer, right? So I can, like, if I wanted to say students never hate Santa Fe, right? Then I can write, what would I have to add to the rest of my molecule? What would I have to write, what could I write to add hate? Students never, what would I need for hate?
AG.
So hate is, yes, AG what? Because remember, every code is 3 letters.
C.
Yes,
AG.
exactly. So I could write AGC, right? Okay, and then that would mean hate. Or I could also write AGT because there's 2 codes. There's 2 codes on the green. So I could have wrote AGT, right? So students never hate. And then if I wanted to say, for example, never hate, maybe I could have put candy. I should have put candy somewhere. But let's say never hate Santa Fe. I can write any one of these 4 codes right here. So for example, I could put CCT, and that would mean Santa Fe, right? High school. So students never hate Santa Fe High School. See how I'm writing a code that means something, right? So that's what I mean. So when you look at these letters, you need to train yourself to read it in pairs and in triplets. Okay? So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to create one strand with 6 nucleotides. Write that down in your notes. Create one strand with 6 nucleotides, and that strand should give you a 2-word message that makes sense. Okay? A 2-word message. So decide, what do you want to say? So look, you have options. You have hello, basketball, toilet, Mr., mom, brother, student, Santa Fe, dad, sister, stop, baby, my, is, hi, bye, happy, never, I, loves, football, stop, Rodriguez. You have all those words, and you have the codes to tell you how to code for that word. So what your job is to figure out what you want to say first, right? So what is the message that you want to say, right? What's the message you want? Figure out the code, right? And then write it using your nucleotides, and then you're going to and so then you're going to do that. So once you guys have your code, let's just say this is the code that you wanted to say, right? What you're going to do is you're going to take a little screenshot of it, copy the image, take it into your document here, right? And you're going to paste it in. Okay, right? And so make sure that it's big enough where I can see it. If you can know how to take good screenshots, just screenshot the 6 nucleotides. And then where it says type your genetic message here, you're going to tell me what it means. Okay, so you guys need to figure out, you guys are going to build your nucleotide strand, right? You're going to make your DNA strand. And then remember, how are you going to organize the letters? Well, it depends on what you want to say. But here's the trick. You only have 2 A's, you only have 2 C's, you only have 2 G's, you only have 2 T's. So there might be some codes that you cannot build because you don't have enough nucleotides. Does that make sense? Okay, so you got to figure out, you got to figure out what message you want to say. All right, but then the trick is, because of this, because you're limited by the gizmo, you only have so many A's and so many C's and so many G's. Does that make sense? Right? So that's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead, figure out what you want to say, what 2-word message you want to say, construct your message in DNA code, All right, take a picture of that code, of that genetic code, right? Boom, and then add it to your document. And then I want the answer, I want that message, whatever that message is, type it in here at the bottom in the footer. And then tomorrow, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna open each one of your assignments and we're gonna check to see if you did it right. Does that make sense? So go ahead right now. You guys have 10 minutes to build your code, your 6 nucleotide code. All right. Remember, your 6 nucleotides is gonna translate into 2 words. All right. What are those? What those 2 words should mean something. Okay. So don't. So hopefully you figure out, you're clever and you can figure out something that you can say using those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 nucleotides to write your code. You remember, you only need 6 of them though. Okay. So go ahead. You have 10 minutes to make your code, your genetic code. Copy your code onto your Word doc. Okay, and then write the answer at the bottom. Okay, go ahead. 10 minutes. Recording. All right, guys. So you have the 10 minutes to do your assignment. Okay, what I want you to do is, if you are complete, you're complete, turn it in. Okay, mark it as done. Mark this assignment as done. So when I click on yours, I should see 6 nucleotides, and then like Priscilla, she forgot her phosphate group at the top, but that's all right. Okay, so that's good. Valerie, she has her let me see here. She has no picture. Oh, that she pictures at the bottom. Okay, good, good, good. So there's her picture, right? Okay, so there's 6 nucleotides there. And so tomorrow we're gonna go ahead and double check, okay, to see if you're right or wrong, okay, on this thing tomorrow. Okay, does that make sense? So go ahead and mark it as done. Once you mark it as done, all right, and I tell you're good to go. Okay, once you turned it in, I'm sorry. Once you turned it in, then you are free to go, okay? Remember to continue to study your vocab. Continue to once I upload this video today for on YouTube, make sure you watch it again to recap, okay, everything that we've been talking about, okay, and hopefully you're starting to understand a little bit about how this genetic code thing is starting to work, okay? So go ahead and mark it in as done. So Valerie, Priscilla, Desiree, Jade, Adriana, April, and Anissa are excused. All right. Orlando, take a picture of just the thing, bro. You weren't paying attention.